Welcome, everyone. So good to see you. Some familiar faces and some not familiar faces. Who is their first time here? Wow, welcome. Nice to meet you. Hope we can chat afterwards. Wonderful. So, Noah said I have to introduce myself, but I think many of you know who I am. I'm Wendy Lau, and I am a novice priest here. And I'm also Roshi's Jisha, her assistant, and I've been living at Upaya for a few years, since end of 2019. So before I start, I want to, of course, thank my family, my ancestors, and also my teachers. And of course, I want to thank Roshi for everything you do for all of us, for the world, and especially all you do for me. So thank you so much. And of course, thank you for the legacy of Nomads Clinic, which we'll talk a little bit about today, and for trusting us, the Nomads team, many of whom I think might be online, and some of them are here. And especially thank you to the Nomads Clinic team out there, but also the Nepali team, Angmo, Porbu, Budi, Tenzin, our Nepali family. And also thank you to the teachers who will be teaching this weekend. Valerie is here, and I think Rebecca, who is actually part of the Nomads family because she's been on the trip with us twice. And I think she and Terry are on their way, and Christiana and Roshi for this weekend of Awaken to Action. Awaken to action because our work will continue. And like Roshi's good friend said during our pre-election retreat, Mother Tessa, she commented that life and practice will continue, and practice will be even stronger in these times. And the work here at Upaya will continue. Our work here to uplift and support our collective awakening, our service work, like the Nomads Clinic, also feeding the unsheltered, sitting at the plaza for peace, and our work to support all those who are serving out there, our chaplains and the clinician trainings. Those will be even more important in the coming days. And one project that actually combines many of these aspects of our work at Upaya is the Nomads Clinic. And for those of you who may not know, the Nomads Clinic is a pilgrimage. It is a service project and also a clinician training, maybe a clinician rehab program. It is a project in the high mountains of Nepal that started over 40 years ago. Roshi was taking people to Nepal and Tibet, to the high mountains, to be on pilgrimage, and realized that there's very little access to medical care there. She started bringing clinicians, started building this team, and it became the Nomads Clinic organically. And in turn, many Western clinicians who go and come back are healed. I am one of them, and have a sense of renewed sense of service that they may have gotten disconnected from because they've been working in the extractive systems of Western medicine. And when I joined in 2016, I was one of these physicians who are burnt out. And it's been life-changing since. And here I am sitting in front of you with no hair. It's probably because of the Nomads Clinic. And so this year we were able to go back. We haven't gone since 2019 because of the pandemic. And a month ago, the team just came back from Dolpo, Nepal. And it's also the first time we went without Roshi, which was a little nerve-wracking. But she was with us the whole time. And So the team was a little bit nervous about going without Roshi. So we met a year ago at the Prajna Mountain Refuge to talk about what it is that we want to do in Nepal this time. So we went through, all the list of our priorities. We wanted to make sure that our collaboration with our Nepali clinicians is strong. We wanted to continue the Women's Health Project to bring reusable menstrual health kits to the women in these villages. We wanted to increase our time with education with our Nepali team, our nurses and health aides who live and work up in the mountains. And we also want to organize a way to listen to the villagers there and to see and feel into what is it that we can continue to serve in the future. But we keep forgetting something. Throughout that weekend, Roshi was there, and she would be listening, and she would be like, once in a while, she would be like, remember, this is a pilgrimage. And we're like, okay, yeah, we know it's a pilgrimage. We've experienced the pilgrimage. But because we're a group of clinicians, we keep forgetting this. We kept going back to the practicality of the clinic, talking about what medicines we want to bring, what exactly we want to do, and we keep forgetting this part about the pilgrimage. And even though many of us have been healed by this spirit of pilgrimage, we have a hard time naming it and hard time actually grasping what it is. So how does a group of very practical clinicians go on a pilgrimage? And this question is almost like a koan, or maybe like how does a group of how many clinicians does it take to change a light bulb? Kind of like that. So I was thinking about it before we left. So I kept asking this question. So I was looking to our ancestors, of course, our Zen ancestors for some clue. And you probably all know this koan, but it's case 20 of the Wumen the Muman Khan. Fayan was going on pilgrimage, and Dizang said, "Where are you going?" Fayan said, "Around on pilgrimage." Dizang said, "What's the purpose of pilgrimage?" Fayan said, "I don't know." And Dizang said, "Not knowing is most intimate." So I kept looking. And I found a piece of writing by Roshi. She wrote a foreword for a book about pilgrimage. In there, she said, "The practice of pilgrimage is a rite of passage, a way to mark deep change within the human heart. It is a practice that is as old as mankind. For moving from place to place ritually brings us into the deep sense of the truth of impermanence, the power of beauty of change. The mythologist Joseph Campbell wrote that pilgrimage takes us to the burning point, the place where we can be awakened in the fire of groundlessness as we make our way across landscapes that are holy and fraught." So unlike other many cultures or older cultures or Asian cultures that has pilgrimage in their bones, many of us Westernized modern people don't have that growing up. So it is actually even more important for us to practice this way of pilgrimage, to enter into this old tradition. So before I left, I asked Roshi, what can we talk about? Because every morning on the trek, we would have morning practice and Dharma discussions. What should we talk about that would keep this spirit of pilgrimage alive for us? And she said, the Paramitas. So that's what we did. As many of you know, the Paramitas are translated as perfections. They are really the qualities that are practiced by bodhisattvas and aspiring bodhisattvas. They're not rules, but they're attitudes of being that can color the way we see the world and guide us in the way we act in the world, in awakened action. So what better way to cultivate, the paramitas than to be on pilgrimage and to be of service? So throughout the weeks, we would have discussions about each paramita, and we would also come together and reflect on what we've learned, what we've seen in the last few days. What kind of qualities have we seen in ourselves and others and the landscape? And that helps us understand the paramitas. So I'll go through some of the things that maybe we have learned in this trip. And then, hopefully, if I get the timing right, we'll have 5 minutes in the end and I have a little treat for you. We're going to look at some pictures from this trip. What do you think about that? Okay, so I should probably end a little bit early then. Great. So I probably won't be able to go through all of them. It's your fault. So we always start with Dana Paramita, right? The perfection of generosity. And as a group of clinicians going to serve, we're like these professionals going to serve, it's so easy for us to think that we're there to give our expertise, we're giving the Dana Paramita. And because it's so easy to fall back on that kind of patriarchal view of medicine and the patriarchal view of Dana Paramita. That idea that we hold the answers and we're there to give it to them. But no, that's actually how many of us become disillusioned here in Western medicine, is that we think that we're the experts and that's it. Thai said, to give means, first of all, to offer joy, happiness, and love. The greatest gift we can offer anyone is our true presence. What else can we give? Our stability, our freedom, our freshness, peace, space, and understanding. And every time I go, I'm always so awed by the joy and presence of our Nepali team and our animal teammates also, the horses and the mules. And in that harsh, high mountain altitude landscape, those of us who are not from there are pretty helpless, actually. We think that we're, strong. And actually, this is a reflection that Clay had about this. I don't know if you remember. He said that, he prides himself in being able to take care of himself in the mountain, carrying all his bags. And that point of pride makes it so hard to actually accept help. You remember that? And then it took some days to actually settle into that, to be able to accept help with grace, with gratitude, and to put down that pride that we have. And one of that example of that are the mules, our teammates, our mule teammates. They carry all our supplies. They carry all our medical equipment, our medications, our duffel bags, our tents. And we can't do this without them because there are no roads. And a few years ago, Barbara, I think she's there listening, Dr. Burgraff and Lindsay, noticed that a lot of the mules and the horses have sores on their backs. And so they started helping the horsemen and mulemen to treat these sores. Troy is nodding because he remembers. They all have these big sores because they have these plastic sheets on their back. And so Barbara and Lindsay realized that this was a problem and they wanted to really serve the mules. So we started this project of horse and mule blankets that are made by a group of women in Kathmandu. These beautiful, I'll show you a picture of them later, beautiful blankets that they put directly on the horses and mules, and then they put the saddle over them. And so they don't have sores anymore. So this year, when we went back, it was so sweet to see that all the animals are so healthy. And the horses and humans have learned over time to take care of these animals, and these are animal teammates. And like I said, we can't do this without them. And so I think this is like a really wonderful example of Dana Paramita, that the giving and the receiving are both part of it. If there's nobody to receive gracefully, how are we going to give? So it's both sides that forms a full circle. And we're able to do amazing things when we're able to complete this circle of giving and receiving. So the next paramita is sila, usually translated as ethical conduct. And the word itself can also be translated as cool and peaceful. And ethical conduct is the aspect of compassionate action that makes it congruent and sensitive to the context in which we serve. And I learned a big lesson about this time. This lesson is still unfolding for me as I reflect on it and practice with it. So on the first day of our clinic, we were asked to go see a very sick patient at her house to do a house call that is in the village, one village away. Because she was so sick that she couldn't get to the clinic. She's been bedbound for a couple months. And we rode a motorcycle over to the next village and went into the house and saw that she was bedbound on this low bed in the kitchen because there's no other way for her to get out into her room, which was upstairs. She looked very ill. Clay was there too. Clay, Angmo, and I went. And she had a very big belly. She was a very small woman with a very big belly that is tense. She had ascites, very tense ascites, which is fluid buildup in her belly. We don't know why, because she's gotten very sick and was not able to go down to a hospital to get checked out. And she was obviously in a lot of pain. She was obviously suffering a lot from the way her condition. And as we examined her, we realized that she had a hard time breathing because her belly was so tense. So it was quite obvious to us that she doesn't have a lot of time left. So without going to the hospital, we don't really have that much that we could do, except for one procedure that we might be able to do to help her feel better, which is to take some of the fluid out of her belly. We talked to her family, and Clay was the main physician on this case. And we decided that we were going to do this procedure after explaining that it's not curative, that the fluid will come back, and this is just to make her feel temporarily a little bit more comfortable. So on the last day of clinic, when we finally talked to the family multiple times through Angmo, who knows the family very well, we finally decided to go back and do this. When we entered the house, the whole family was there. And there was the local Lama there as well, who is a wonderful, wonderful man who we were camped outside of his monastery. And he's done many things that are like uplifting for women in the mountains and just a beautiful, true man. And he was there to prepare for puja, which is a ceremony to bless her, bless our patient, and to wish for good health. And they were preparing the tormas, the little it's little things made of barley, and also other things that is needed for the puja. And it's a whole family affair. And when we entered, everybody stood up and was about to leave because they knew we were going to do something. But in that moment, because of my chaplaincy training, I suddenly realized that we can't have them leave, because I realized that there was a power dynamic going on in that they think that what we are doing is more important than what they are doing. And that's not true, because they're in a process, a ceremony of her life. And we have to humble ourselves to enter into this ceremony. So we stopped them and asked the Lama to please bless us and say a prayer for us so that whatever we do here is of the highest benefit for her and her family. So they all sat back down and we took time to do this prayer. And then at the end of it, some of the family left and we were able to do this procedure. And I'm still unpacking this lesson slowly as I'm back here in this environment, to understand that being in context and being sensitive to the context is ethical conduct, is what we need to learn, rather than that patriarchal view of I'm coming in, I know what's best, and I'm doing it. So thank you, Clay. That kind of moment and moment sensitivity and becoming more and more sensitive to context is the way we serve as bodhisattvas and as aspiring bodhisattvas. So the next paramita, shanti, patience. So last week we had a wonderful Dharma talk by John Paul Lederach. And a week before he gave the Dharma talk online, he came to visit Roshi. And I was so honored to be able to sit in a room with Roshi and John Paul and Molly Crockett and had a discussion. I think Roshi asked John Paul, what's going on? What are you working on? And he started telling us about his longstanding peace building work and conflict transformation work. And he said that he had a realization recently that the phrase going in circles in the Western paradigm is always seen as negative. Like the way we use it is like, oh, he's just going in circles, meaning he's not doing anything, going nowhere, and getting nothing done. And so that's supposed to be negative. But then he realized that in his work of long peace and conflict transformation, that going around in circles actually mean coming back to the same places, the same people, the same context again and again. And instead of a linear progression, the going around actually causes a deepening. And that reminds me of nomads, that we go back again and again with Roshi and all the relationship that she's built over the years, coming back again and again to the same context, feeling that deepening of relationship over time. And just yesterday, Almo posted on Facebook about the menstrual kit project. So since 2016, we've been bringing these reusable menstrual kits to the women in the high mountains because they don't have access to the products that we are in the West have access to. And I'll just read you what she said. I think this is a wonderful example of that going around and that deepening and that change that can come out of that. She said, when we started the menstrual health education and eco-pad distribution in 2016, women would always request for me to send the men away from the area of the session because they feel shy talking about this in front of men. And also men would hesitate to be around as well because they feel shy also. We slowly started incorporating men into our discussions, our sessions, and our conversations. With time, Nomads Clinic began to receive requests from male youths to sponsor eco-friendly pads for the women in their communities. This is one of the greatest joys for the Nomads Clinic team to witness, the change where men started paying attention and caring for the physiological needs of women in their families and community, to the extent that they openly advocate for those needs going beyond cultural and societal norms. It might be a small change, but I see it as a powerful one that goes beyond just talking about menstruation, but sharing care, responsibilities, and changing gender norms in mountain communities. And that is so beautiful. Just those small changes that come with coming around and around again, and that deepening of relationship, of trust. Yeah. But sometimes going around in circle is not smooth. Sometimes the circles can be jagged. And on the last day of our trek, usually Roshi likes to say, Roshi's laughing, Roshi likes to say this phrase, the itinerary is subject to reality, right? You've probably all heard this. She says it a lot on Nomads Clinic, because things really change very quickly when you're out there. And so on the last day of our clinic, we're supposed to get on, our last day of our trek, we're supposed to get on this tiny plane to fly from this tiny, tiny airport in Jufal to Kathmandu and then back to Nepalganj and then to Kathmandu to catch our flights back home. But as it is with tiny airports, there's only one plane that makes one trip from Nepalganj and back each day. And on that day, the brakes of that plane is broken. So we had no plane. And these are very small planes. So if we waited the next day, the plane is probably already full from current bookings, and we probably wouldn't all be able to get on it. So we decided that we were going to take a Jeep. So they told us the Jeep will take 11 hours, 12 hours. We're like, okay, some of us have done a Jeep ride for 9 hours. It was horrible. But yeah, 11 hours, it's only 2 hours more than that, right? It's not that bad. So we jumped on the Jeeps. There were these, I'll show you some pictures, these like kind of rugged Jeeps that had like seats that have like kind of pieces of metal jutting out. And we're like, okay, we can do this. And so we jumped on the Jeep. An hour into the Jeep ride, my Jeep suddenly made a stop. And I was like, oh, what is that? And then it turns out that the drive shaft of the Jeep has bent. So all the Jeep drivers jumped out, pulled the thing out, and started beating on it on the side. This is the first hour. And I was like, oh no, we're all gonna die. But now we're stuck. We have to get back on the Jeep because there's no other transportation. Okay, so we got back in the Jeep. Other things happened, like we went over at least 3 or 4 waterfalls. The waterfalls on this side and just water everywhere. And one of the Jeeps has a hole in the bottom, so water was coming out. There was one where there's like a truck that's full of food that's like got stuck in the middle of the waterfall. Yeah, I'll show you a picture of that also. And then there was one time when we were going up the river, and there was other Jeeps coming the other way, and we were at the dead stop, and nobody wanted to back out. So it took a little while to figure that out. There was some kind of little arguments going on. So it was a ride full of adventure, shall we say, and very sore bottoms. And at hour 15, I think I rolled out of the Jeep. Okay, I said 11 hours. We got stuck somewhere for 3 hours because we had to fix one of that Jeep that was broken. And then somehow another Jeep broke. And then somehow another Jeep broke. So we got stuck somewhere for 3 hours. And then Angmo at that stop was like, you know what? I've done this many times and it's never been 11 hours. It's usually around 15. We're like, okay. So at hour 15, I rolled out of the Jeep and started puking at the side of the road. So it was not pleasant. But we were all trying to be like good aspiring bodhisattvas. So we're like, yes, we're so tough, we're good. So at the end of hour 16, we're like, how much longer is it gonna be? Oh, like 3 or 4 hours. So in the end, it took 19 hours and something, right? So 19 hours. I think he timed it. And we all rolled out of the Jeeps, all covered in dust, patting ourselves on the back. We're like, oh, wow, we're so tough. That's such a good adventure. We made it. It was, we're just such good people. We didn't even complain that much. And we're like sitting there having tea, and Angmo strolls by, and she's like, that was the best Jeep ride I've ever had in my life. I was like, what? What are you talking about? She's like, I've done this maybe at least like 30, 50 times. And that was the best one yet. I was like, why? We're all like, hmm. She's like, I got a whole seat by myself. Usually they pack the Jeeps, and instead of 4 of us with the driver, there are like 8 of us with the driver. And then some people on the roof hanging on, some people in the back, the chickens and whatever. And so every time the Jeep turns, I'm worried that it wouldn't like straight right itself. I was like, okay. And she's like, and sometimes when the water's really bad, we have to get down and push the Jeeps and carry our bags across. We're like, okay. So I guess we're not that tough. We're just privileged. So yeah, so we thought we had very good patience, but really it was the best Jeep ride ever. Actually, my tailbone still kind of hurts. So I'll tell you one more story before we look at the pictures. So virya, sometimes translated as diligence, wholeheartedness. And I like how Norman Fisher translates it as joyful effort. And of course, bodhisattvas don't seek easy circumstances. So joyful effort is very important. And one of our team member really exemplifies joyful effort for me, and that's Dr. Purbu. He's our dentist. He's from one of the mountain areas in Nepal and Gorkha. And he is just so joyful all the time. And I even, when we were talking about this in our discussion, called him out as our virya model. And he's very humble, so I totally embarrassed him. But because of that, he told us a wonderful story that really exemplifies for me virya. He told us that on the first day of clinic, a man came in and said that he's had this toothache for a year. We can't really imagine that here. We'll get it fixed right away, right? But people there don't have dental care as well as we have, so they have to endure the pain. And he's been to a few mountain clinics. Other people have tried to pull the wisdom tooth for him, and they were unsuccessful because it was really stuck. And instead, it just caused more pain. So Dr. Porbu was like, "Don't worry, we'll try. Don't be scared." He numbed him up, and he started trying. He was working for 45 minutes, and the tooth would not come out. It was really stuck in there. He tried everything, and it's sweating. And then finally, he was like, "Oh, maybe I need to give up." But then he's like, "Oh, maybe I will." This is how he did it. He told us, "I'll try one more time." Right? That's exactly how he said it. And he did. He tried, turned this way, that way, and finally he got it out. And oh, they were so happy. Him and the patient were both so happy. And the patient left and came back the next day with a ceremonial scarf, a kata, and gave it to him. And they just had a beautiful moment of gratitude. They were just so happy that this worked out. And Dr. Porbu said, "Now when I face anything difficult and I'm about to give up, I'll think of this and try one more time." And I think that joy and that joyful effort is so intricately tied to gratitude. He got it. That gratitude that he felt from the man and his gratitude to him for trusting him led him to this beautiful realization it's just in him. I'll show you a picture of him. He's so sweet. And Brother David, Roshi's friend, says about joy that the root of joy is gratefulness. And I think that's intricately tied to virya. And so before I show you some pictures, I want to tie this back to pilgrimage. And if pilgrimage is really a distillation of life, and if you think of this moment in our lives and this moment in our journey together on this earth that's going round and round the sun as a pilgrimage through the holy and the fraught landscape of human history, then it is really in times like this when we're feeling particularly uncertain that we need to remember and lean into the spirit of pilgrimage and to practice the paramitas wholeheartedly. So may we remember the vows and be in pilgrimage together in every breath. Noah, please. I know. Oh, thank you. Maybe I'll stand over here oh, what happened? Oops. Ooh, wow. Okay. So here is our Nomads team practicing. What's up? Hello. So here's our Nomads team practicing the Paramitas at 17,000 feet. This is the Numala Pass at, around 17,000 feet. Next. Oop. Here is one of our mules carrying our food, and she has a headdress because she is the boss lady mule, and they're always female, just so you know. Mules are smart. And here is one of those mule blankets that that's Barbara. Hi, Barbara. And she's giving it to one of our mule men. And look at how beautiful they're beautifully made. Next. And this is, I think you took that picture. It's us going to to the next village on a motorcycle to go to our house call. Beautiful scene. There's Barbara again walking with her horse Champ. Next. This is us practicing in the morning, and morning practice in front of Boksundo Lake. This really impossibly blue lake in the mountains. So beautiful. Here's outside the clinic triage. This is me and Pasang, who is Angmo's brother. And we're just, welcoming all the people there and registering them. And these are all people from Angmo's village in Do. Here's Dr. Purbu. We're at a school next in the mountains teaching the kids how to brush their teeth. It's really fun. And that's him in his dental clinic in the chair and the portable equipment. And that's actually Dr. Gyaltsen. He's the second doctor to graduate from that area. And he graduated during COVID, so he hadn't gone back yet. And this is the first time of him going back and serving his people. So it's really wonderful addition to the team, and he is so happy to come back with us next year. Thanks. These are our beautiful nurses and health aides who serve the people up in the mountains in their little clinics all spread out in the mountains. And so they all came together. Some of them came from very far away, and we were able to do an educational session for the day, but they were actually teaching us also in clinic. They were teaching us what kind of things that they see, how they normally treat these things. And many of them are very knowledgeable, and they're wonderful. This is Angmo teaching about the menstrual kit and showing how that works with all the women in front of the clinic. And she made this really fun felt blanket that tells you about the cycle with the little hearts on the bottom. So cute. And actually, there's a guy holding made one of our Sherpas hold up the thing, and he was so shy. He was hiding behind the blanket. Oh. And this is the pictures that got sent to us actually just yesterday. We left a lot of menstrual kits up there, and one of the youth leaders actually was distributing them in the last week, and they sent us these photos on Facebook. Next. And yeah, this is from this week, actually. It's all young women who got these kits. And I remember back when we first started, everybody was so shy about it and they were hiding behind. Now they're like holding their bags and showing us. It's so sweet. Next. This is Rob serenading us in our we were camped outside the monastery. Next. This is Angmo. It's a sunrise over the mountain as we were going up to the pass. I think that's Lissy. We're walking, the pass is right there, you could see, and we got a lot of snow. Next, this is Lindsay up all the way up at the pass, tying some katas. Go ahead. Oh, we had just beautiful, beautiful scenery with a huge waterfall coming down. Yeah. This is the infamous Jeep ride. This is actually right in the beginning. I guess Rob was already anticipating the craziness that's going to happen. Look at the Jeeps. Next. This is where we are. There are people coming down the other way, and we're going up that way, and we were stuck there for a while. Next. And this is crossing the river, and the truck that is full of stuff is stuck in the middle of the river. And on that side, there's a waterfall. Go ahead. This is how narrow a lot of the roads are. And this is actually a video that I think you took. And you could see the Jeep going back and forth on the very rough road. Next. And this is us thinking that we're like so tough drinking tea at the end. But actually, that was the best ride ever. Next. So as you can see, we have a lot of joy on the trip. And I think that's something that's really important to remember in these times. So thank you.